Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast, everyone. Today we're going to be looking at Ardelyx, ticker symbol ARDX,
Okay.
a biopharma company making headlines for its work in gastrointestinal disorders. Their 2024 performance really caught my eye.
Yeah, they had some impressive financials.
They did. They pulled in $319 million in U.S. net product sales,
Wow.
which is a significant jump from previous years.
Absolutely.
What do you think is driving this kind of growth?
Well, two words, IBSRELA and XPHOZAH.
Those are some big words.
Yeah, they're flagship products for irritable bowel syndrome and hyperphosphatemia.
Okay, so they're really addressing that market need.
Exactly, and their success speaks to that.
For our listeners who might not be familiar with these conditions, could you give us a quick rundown?
Of course. So IBSRELA offers relief for millions of people who struggle with the unpredictable and often debilitating symptoms of IBS.
Yep.
Hyperphosphatemia, on the other hand, involves elevated phosphate levels in the blood,
Got it.
which is particularly dangerous for people with kidney disease. And XPHOZAH helps manage those levels.
So they're not just developing drugs,
No.
they're improving lives.
Absolutely.
And I think that resonates with a lot of investors who are looking for companies that make a positive impact.
I agree.
But let's talk about the bottom line here.
Yeah.
Those impressive sales figures have got to translate into some serious market potential.
Oh, absolutely. The projections are pretty exciting. Analysts estimate peak annual sales for IBSRELA could exceed $1 billion.
Wow.
And for XPHOZAH, they're projecting around $750 million.
So that's almost $2 billion in annual revenue.
Right.
It's a pretty compelling figure for any investor to consider.
For sure.
I'm already impressed. But tell me more about the stock market's reaction to all of this, because I have a feeling investors took notice of those blockbuster numbers.
They absolutely did. Following the release of those 2024 earnings, Ardelyx's stock price jumped over 15% in just one day.
Wow, in one day.
Yep, that's a clear indicator of investor confidence.
It really shows how much faith they have in the company's growth. So for our listeners who are hearing this and thinking, okay, I need to check out Ardelyx, where does the stock stand right now?
As of January 14th, 2025, Ardelyx is trading around $5.88 to $5.89 per share.
Okay.
Now, it's important to note that it's been a bit volatile lately.
Volatility can be nerve-wracking for some investors,
Yeah,
but it can also create opportunities for those who know how to navigate it.
I agree.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty of those technical indicators. What can you tell us about the 50-day and 200-day moving averages?
Well, despite that recent surge, the current price is actually below both those key moving averages.
Interesting.
The 50-day sits at $5.26, and the 200-day is at $6.30.
Okay.
So this suggests a longer-term downtrend that we need to consider.
Even with that exciting upward spike.
Exactly. It's a bit of a mixed signal.
So how do we make sense of these conflicting signals? What about the RSI?
The RSI is currently at 55.56, which puts it right in the middle. It's neither overbought nor oversold, suggesting a more neutral stance for now. But then we look at the trading volume and things get really interesting.
Okay, what's going on there?
Over 9.7 million shares were traded recently.
Wow.
And that's significantly higher than the average volume. This surge in activity shows that investors are definitely paying attention to Ardelyx.
Yeah, and they're reacting to those positive earnings.
Absolutely.
So we have a company with a proven track record, promising products, addressing a real market need, and investors who are clearly enthusiastic about its potential.
That's right.
But then we have these technical indicators that are painting a slightly more cautious picture.
Yes,
I think this is where things start to get really interesting for our listeners.
I agree.
It raises the question, what happens next?
Yeah, Ardelyx is at a crossroads.
Yeah.
And the decisions they make in 2025 will be critical. They have a lot of momentum, but they also face challenges.
A dynamic situation indeed, and one that we'll continue to explore in just a moment. Stay with us, folks, as we dive deeper into Ardelyx's strategic priorities for 2025 and what those might mean for investors. Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. We were just talking about some of the challenges Ardelyx is facing in 2025.
Yeah, those challenges are real.
Particularly the changes to Medicare Part D coverage,
It's a significant hurdle.
especially for XPHOZAH.
Right. Their oral-only treatment for hyperphosphatemia,
It's no longer on the list of covered medications.
and that could really impact their bottom line.
It's almost like they have these incredible products,
Yeah.
and then the rules change.
Yeah, you have to adapt.
So what's Ardelyx doing to navigate this new landscape?
Well, they're not backing down. They're taking a very proactive approach.
Good.
focusing on several key areas.
Like what?
First, strengthening their relationships with healthcare providers.
So making sure doctors understand how these treatments fit into the new paradigm.
Exactly. It's a re-education campaign.
So it's about building trust and providing valuable information to those who are making the prescribing decisions.
Right.
I can see how they'd be crucial.
And they're also focusing on specialty pharmacies.
Oh, those pharmacies that often handle medications for complex conditions.
Yeah.
And they have those established relationships with insurers.
Including Medicare Part D plans.
So they can potentially bypass some of the hurdles created by the Medicare changes.
It's a strategic move.
It's a clever workaround.
It is.
But I imagine it comes with its own challenges.
Of course. Negotiating contracts with these pharmacies and ensuring smooth access for patients can be complex.
Right, and they're not stopping there.
Oh.
You mentioned patient assistance programs.
Yeah, those provide financial assistance to eligible patients who need help affording their medications.
So those who rely on XPHOZAH don't have to go without treatment because of cost.
Exactly.
It's about accessibility, recognizing that healthcare is a fundamental right.
I agree.
I'm glad to see they're taking those steps. But what about new treatments? What's in their pipeline?
Well, they haven't released specific details, but they've hinted at some promising developments in their R&D department.
Okay, so they're exploring new therapeutic areas.
They are.
They're not content with just resting on their laurels.
Right. They understand that innovation is key to long-term success in this industry.
It sounds like they're embracing that philosophy.
It's a good sign for investors
who are looking for long-term growth potential.
Absolutely.
But even with a company as successful as Ardelyx, there's always an element of risk.
For sure.
And I think that's what makes investing so intriguing. Now let's talk about what analysts are saying about Ardelyx and where they see the stock headed in 2025. Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. We were talking about Ardelyx's pipeline and their commitment to innovation.
Yeah, it's an exciting time for them.
It is. So what are analysts saying about Ardelyx? Where do they see the stock headed in 2025?
Well, several analysts have actually upgraded their earnings estimates for Ardelyx after that strong 2024 performance.
Okay, and what kind of price targets are they setting?
Price targets range from $5.50 to $15 per share.
That's a pretty wide range.
It is. It reflects the uncertainty surrounding the impact of those Medicare changes.
But the general sentiment seems positive.
Yes, analysts are optimistic about Ardelyx's long-term growth potential.
And what about the average price target? What are analysts predicting for the stock in 2025?
Some analysts see Ardelyx reaching an average price of $10.45 in 2025, with a potential high of $12.71.
So there's definitely room for growth.
There is. But it's important to remember that broader economic trends can also play a role.
Right, things like interest rate changes and inflation can impact the entire market.
Exactly. The Federal Reserve recently cut interest rates,
which has created some mixed sentiment among investors.
Some see it as a sign of a potential economic slowdown,
while others view it as an opportunity for growth.
It's a complex situation.
So how should investors approach Ardelyx given all these factors?
I'd say Ardelyx is a stock worth watching.
Okay.
They have a strong track record, promising products, and a proactive management team.
But they also face challenges.
Those Medicare changes are a big hurdle.
And the broader economic outlook is uncertain.
So I think it's crucial for investors to stay informed. Do their research, understand the company and the market, and make informed decisions.
That's always great advice. And on that note, we'll wrap up this episode of Investing Talk Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our discussion of Ardelyx.
Thanks for having me.
And we encourage you to share your thoughts with us. Do you think Ardelyx is a stock to watch in 2025? Let us know in the comments.
Then be sure to subscribe to the podcast for more insights and analysis.
Thanks for listening and happy investing.